Welcome in, everybody, for another episode and the first of the new year. Welcome to 2025 as Fly High Wi Fi is starting the year strong. With our first episode of the year, we're going to try to keep going strong this year. Uh, Today, we are going to talk about narcissism and emotional. What was it?
Contagion theory.
Okay. Turn audio up a tad. Everything's turned up. You got to turn your tab up a little bit, Prime. But this topic was something people had brought up and wanted to hear a little bit about, and we got some numbers, and someone's excited to or is very excited to present them to everybody, and said they're pretty surprising. So, and it's gonna be one that a lot of people might not want to hear about, but they might be excited to hear about it. And sometimes you got to be able to hear things you don't want to hear. Little self reflection. It's always about finding a better version of yourself. And this might not be directed at anybody directly, but we're here to bring some insight to it. It's again, we're not medical professionals, but we want to raise awareness and bring as much information to the table as we can to help others. And that's really all it's about. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. And remember, guys, our prior episodes and everything that are previously recorded are on all the major platforms. So if you guys could go follow them, listen to them, share them with everybody you can. Again, Facebook. We have a Facebook. We have a Twitter. We have a Discord. All the commands for those are right down at the bottom of the screen if you're in the Kick channel. If not, it is the Fly High Wi Fi on the podcasts. And then the Facebook is just called Fly High Wi Fi. All right. You ready to get this first episode underway?
Yep.
All right.
Um, so how we've been starting out a lot of the first episodes of each month is kind of that awareness of each month. So January is National Mental Wellness Month. This month is used as a reminder that mental health is just as important as physical health. I also know that January is also when everyone starts their New Year's resolutions. As you're doing that, kind of keep in mind that your mental health is just as important as your physical health. So January is that month, kind of putting that out there. Um, so jumping into narcissistic personality disorder, there's a few things kind of before we jump into the statistics of it. Narcissistic personality disorder was actually named as after a hunter from Greek mythology. According to the myth, this Greek hunter was obsessed with his own beauty, that he couldn't stop looking at his own reflection in a pool of water. He did nothing else but stare at his reflection until he died. And that's where narcissism came from, because his name meant that.
Okay. So really full of himself. Got it.
I thought it was just a little fun fact to throw in there
All right.
that narcissism came from a Greek or a hunter from Greek mythology. And then there's also, just like everything else, narcissism is on a spectrum. You can have a healthy amount of narcissism, which people should have, but then you can also go to the extremes of
Okay.
narcissism. So, healthy narcissism is a normal part of human development that involves a stable sense of self esteem and asserting needs without disregarding others. So, healthy narcissists have an appropriate level of self worth, feel joy about their own value, and can build strong relationships. So, kind of that shows you like the opposite of what you hear about.
Most people being called a narcissist, right?
Yeah, that kind of shows you the healthy level of narcissism. You're able to build boundaries, but you can also appreciate others.
Okay. And when you hear narcissism, most people think of just the negative side of it, but there is a
Yeah,
upside to it.
there is an upside to having a healthy level of narcissism for yourself, but you're not taking it out on other people. Like you have that healthy level of being able to admire and accept admiration from others, feeling gratitude and appreciation. Um, a big one is you're able to tolerate others' disapproval. So, moving into narcissistic personality disorder, it's a mental health condition. So, having NPD means you have an excessive need to impress others or feel important. It affects a person's sense of self esteem, identity, and how they treat themselves and others. It's more than ignorance or selfishness. In most cases, people with NPD may struggle with feelings of failure or rejection, putting their own health and well being at risk. So that's the extreme side.
That's the extreme side, right? Which most people are the ones that that's the one they're aware with. Like
Yes.
Cruz said in chat, I was unaware there was a healthy side of it, as was I until about 20 seconds ago until you said something. So,
So do you have those people that have like a really healthy level of like self esteem that is like a level of like healthy narcissism? Say people
okay,
with really low self esteem that need to build up self esteem, they kind of have to gather some narcissism in themselves, but they're not taking it on other people.
right.
Um, so it's also common to connect narcissism to physical appearance, just like the myth that I mentioned. But it's not just about how you look. It can be involved in other traits or abilities you have, like intelligence, artistic skill, athletic ability, wealth, power, success,
So that's why
just
it's
about
such a
anything.
broad spectrum because it's not
Mm-hmm.
just your physical appearance, it's your mentality, you as your person,
Yep.
and everything. So,
Um, so somebody could be narcissistic in different aspects of their life versus their entire life. And some people can be narcissistic in their entire life. That's why it comes as a spectrum.
right, which makes sense.
So the prevalence of MPD ranges from 0.5% to 6%. This is in the US. So 1 in 200 people in the US have MPD at
One
some
more
type
time
of
on that.
level. 1 in 200 people
1 in
in the
200.
US.
Okay. That's US studies. All right.
Yes. So mental health clinics have 2 to 6% of those seeking help for the NPD within within clinics. So 2 to 6% of those 1 to 200 are getting help for it. 6% of people with NPD work within um, it's called forensics population, but it's going to be like police officers, attorneys, jobs like that.
Okay.
20% of the military population may have NPD.
And that's why when Prime brought that up earlier, you kind of just smirked because you knew that it was going to be a higher percentage than probably most, correct?
Yeah, that's so the next highest is first year medical students. 17% of first year medical students have NPD.
Okay. So 20% was military. And being in the military, I could probably touch on that they teach you to be that self confident and to be the brightest in the room so you can stand out and be good at what you do. But some of them take it too far.
Mhm.
I was one of those. That's why I said it used to be me. I used to have to be the best at everything that I touched when I came into the military shooting, PT, leadership, everything. And I
I
didn't
think
want
in
to
a
be the.
sense, like sometimes they're saying it's okay to be that way if you leave room for other people to be just as good as you.
At that time, I didn't want nobody to be as good as me, if I'm being honest. Same thing with sports, though. You see that? I'm sure that's a a statistic coming.
Um, yeah, it doesn't actually bring up sports. Like it mentioned sports earlier, but it doesn't have anything mentioned after that.
Okay.
So coming with gender prevalence, it's more prevalent in men versus women, with 7.7% of men out of that number versus a 4.8% of women.
So 3% higher in men versus women. Okay.
And then it's more prevalent in younger adults versus older adults. So kind of like they're saying, like as you grew it,
Yeah.
you can grow out of it, like as you mature. Obviously, some people grow and become more narcissistic.
Or never change. So it's understandable.
So there's a big stats that were found. So I'm reading further down through.
Okay.
So with the narcissistic personality disorder symptoms, they're all found in the DSM-5, which we've mentioned quite a few times, which is that blue book that I've pulled out for more of the like negative side of it. It's a complex sense of self-importance, a preoccupied, you're preoccupied with fantasies of success, power, beauty, or perfect love, a belief that they are special and can only be understood by other special people,
Hmm.
need a need for excessive admiration, a sense of entitlement, which may include an unreasonable expectation to be treated favorably or for others to comply with their demands or expectations. Behave behavior that is explosive and that takes advantage of others to achieve their own needs, a lack of empathy or unwillingness to identify with needs of others, a tendency to be envious of others or a belief that others are envious of them, and then ignorance, body behaviors, and attitude.
Okay. Well, I think when you said envious of that person or they're envious of you, I could just don't hate me because you ain't me kind of thing. Like that just that's kind of funny now you hear about it.
Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see like the what it was saying, like a good narcissistic behaviors were versus what these narcissistic behaviors are,
Right.
the kind of black and white differences.
Yeah, there's not really a gray area when it comes to this. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
cut and dry, noticeable.
Mm-hmm. So causes of narcissistic personality disorder, um, a lot of it stems from early childhood experiences. So being rejected as a child, excessive praise by parents or caregivers, so not letting your child kind of learn on their own, excessive judgment by parents or caregivers, trauma or abuse, the environment, genetics, and neurobiology.
You say
So
genetics, huh?
narcissism, narcissism can be passed down through the genes
Wow.
because narcissism can change your genes. So if your parent is a narcissism or is not like a narcissist, when it changes their genes, it can be passed down to the child that way.
Very good to know.
So
I would have never thought it that it was like one of those things. I thought it would be more of a self thing, like just
a
something
lot
there.
of times it is amplified and grown that way, but a child can get it from their parents just because their parent is a narcissist.
Good to know.
Some complications. of narcissistic personality disorder. They kind of pair with mood disorders and bipolar disorder. So if you have one, a lot of times, especially if you're on that like extreme end, you're gonna be paired with another mood disorder.
We talked about that prior to, like with ADHD and bipolarism and stuff like that. So
hmm And then you're also gonna be more at risk of substance use and suicide. Like you're gonna be more at risk of actually following through with suicide
suicide,
because you have that like more extreme of I'm going to do this
right?
because you have that more amplified like personality.
I wonder what the, well, because it's probably not on paper if somebody during the somebody that commits suicide, if that they were documented as a narcissist or not.
They just say like it's less likely to be an impulse act or cries for help, and it's they do it, they follow through on it because if they don't, it's viewed as a failure versus a success on that.
Noticed. Okay. I'm just trying to like thinking about the genes thing that kind of threw me for a little bit because I wouldn't imagine that it would be able to pass down through genes, but
Yeah, I didn't know that one, and so I was learning about it in school. And the more you like any other disorder you have, and again, this has to be like the higher end where it's kind of changing your chemical makeup. So any of
right.
the other disorders you have, once it starts changing your chemical makeup, you can pass those down too. It's not set in stone, but it's a possibility.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense though. Because when you change that chemical imbalance, it becomes genetic then.
And then with narcissism or this disorder, a lot of times they won't seek help until they're like rock bottom. And sometimes they don't seek help even then. And they don't do it until there's an ultimatum placed in front of them.
Hey, you speak of ultimatum. Remember when I said I had to change? I had to grow up. I had a
Mhm.
kid on the way, and it was either have him in my life or not.
Yeah. So it's definitely, and sometimes they don't take the ultimatum. Sometimes they're like, nope.
Yeah.
And when they do, that's kind of their turning
And it
point.
wasn't that it was like, if you don't do this, it was like you need to see who you are and what you're doing. And once you
It's
fix
like,
that, then it'll be a lot better for everybody.
mm, it's the you looking you in the mirror.
Yeah. And my wife today, that's when she said that to me and was like, "You used to be," but she didn't give up on me and she stuck with me through everything and helped me become who I am today without changing completely who I am.
Mhm. So that's a good one. Like these aren't formal like distinctions, but a mental health provider may tell you about them, or you might learn about them in something like this to understand the condition. So ask
Okay.
like a provider about these traits to formally get diagnosed or seek help with it,
Yeah.
or like how you did it. You kind of worked through it with getting to know who you were, and you had a kid on
I
life,
had
so
to hit rock bottom.
you hit rock bottom.
I had to.
So there's different ways.
Yeah.
That's what I have for narcissistic
All right.
personality disorder.
Got new people coming through the chat with the follows. All right. So, guys, if anybody in chat has anything on narcissism and narcissistic traits, please feel free to ask. Oh, we got the regiment community coming through big with the. We're doing the mental health podcast, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. We just got done discussing narcissistic traits and narcissism as the mental health disease. Um, well, here we go. People are going crazy. Appreciate the 5 gifted to the channel unknown. Next topic we are going to discuss is
Remember it?
no emotional something. That's all I can remember.
Emotional contagion theory.
Okay.
Say
I'm gonna look this up because guys, I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't know this topic until let's Google it. We got all these follows come through. 5 more gifted coming. You guys are out of control. You guys gonna throw me off the podcast here. Chat mods, will you help me out here? Thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right, one more time on this topic.
emotional contagion theory.
Contagion theory. All right. One person to another. All right, I found it. Look at that.
Um, so if someone approaches you with a smile, like we have the natural tendency to smile back. If they
Right.
approach you with a frown, you have the tendency to frown back at them. In a nutshell, emotional contagion theory is the idea that people are unconsciously picking up and mimicking the emotions of others, leading to a similar environment or similar emotional experience. So it's like a natural response that evidence has found. It's considered a vital part of social cohesion. So we do this just to kind of fit into our surroundings. It kind of follows the idea of like positive input equals positive output and negative input equals negative output. We've talked about this a lot within some of our podcasts throughout. So early research on emotional contagion emphasis its basis in person to person contact and tone of voice, gestures, and facial expressions. I get told this a lot because I'm like kind of a more mellow tone person, and my facial expression kind of is very RFB. Everyone's like, oh, you don't look like, yeah,
Oh,
they're like, you don't
RFB,
look like,
huh?
yeah, they're like, you don't look like you're having a good time. I'm like, I'm having a great time, but they're like, your body doesn't say that. I'm like, but I'm fine. So it impacts the people around me because my face is not saying it, or my
Right.
voice is not saying it, because I'm just kind of like a very mellow, I'm like a very mellow person, but I'm having a great time. And everyone else is like, no, but you're bringing us down. And I'm like, well, sorry.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Um, but it goes back to when mirror neurons were discovered in 1990. Italian neuroscience scientists showed that the same neurons in monkey brains fired when monkeys grabbed objects. They watched other monkeys grab those objects too, so they followed suit.
Okay. Monkeys.
So with me, people are watching me and they want to mimic that I'm just sitting kind of watching my surroundings. So they feel they have to do the same thing that I'm doing. And I'm not telling them that they have to do anything different, but they're trying to mimic what I'm doing. Versus I'm assuming Ryan, you in a room, you're gonna be kind of floating around being the social butterfly. They're gonna want to mimic you be a social butterfly.
I used to be that way. Or I used to be. And then military kind of put me to where my back's against the wall, watching everybody else in the room. Kind of got to be examining the situation at all times, trying to
So people
plot.
would probably be wondering why you're doing
Yeah.
it. So those monkeys are the same process of the mirror neurons in our brains when they've tested people.
Okay.
If people see people picking up things, other people are going to go pick up those same things.
So speaking of that, one of those things that like I've spoke on since we are on Kick right now, and I talk about streaming in a light of that, right? So people like to do that when gifting subs and doing nice things, donations on streams, right? So people like to follow suit. So when they're what they call a hype train, when people are gifting subs, people like to follow suit, do that. So it's kind of this fits right into that.
Mm-hmm. As I said, we've talked about this so many times that like
Mm-hmm.
you can either have a positive impact or you can have a negative impact.
Right.
We do that. We try, I don't want to say we do that. We try to do that with this podcast. We're trying to have a positive impact and share information and spread like good knowledge about mental health. Just like
Yeah.
how the
No, I was just gonna read what Cricky wrote about how you said to be social butterfly thing. He says you're still very social. Oh God, Cricky. You're still very social. You can tell you're just watching at all times. So I might be social, but I'm still observing at all times and keeping awareness of what's going on around me. Cricky, thanks for the 5 gifted as well. They're all trying to get me to break character tonight. Regiment, Cricky, everybody. It's like a common theme anymore. They see if they can get me to make some funny face or laugh at what's going on during the podcast.
um I lost my train of thought.
Sorry. Cricky, it's all your
No,
fault.
you're good.
All Cricky's fault.
So essentially what this theory is saying that our neurons, how we are made, mirror what we see. So mirroring and spreading positive or negative emotions has a worldwide like implication. Like so we impact each other whether we know. So when I was reading this, I kind of thought about how we always, like you always say, even saying hi to somebody in the elevator can change somebody's day. And it really can. There's like a science behind it that it can change somebody's day.
These guys are really going crazy right now. But yes, I agree. Just like I've said that to in prior shows, that as simple as saying hello to somebody to let them being noticed that day could change their whole day, right? So just saying hello, opening a door for somebody, they might hold the door open for somebody else next, just because you do that. Crew, thank you for all those, Jerry. You guys, stop it.
So when you're doing that, just think of the mirror neuron system within our bodies. Like it does have an impact within our bodies. So it's not just something Ryan is saying. It was something that Ryan was saying, but there is like an actual science
Yeah,
behind it
there's an
now.
actual thing. Yeah, now that I know the words that I'm speaking are for a reason, and I didn't even know it.
There is a theory and there is an actual science within the body behind what Ryan was saying this whole time.
Yeah, it's good to know.
That's it.
That's it for that one, guys. That was the easy one.
Short sweet. That we do impact each other positively or
Yeah,
negatively. Our
we.
bodies do react.
So if you're being a little diva, there's gonna be little divas around you. So eat a Snickers. And then they might eat a
Positive,
Snickers too, and we'll be in a better shape.
positive input equals positive output. Negative input will equal negative output. Your body's gonna take it in.
Yeah, so that's good. We learned a lot today. Narcissism has a positive side to it, but it's got to be a healthy level,
Mm-hmm.
or you can just be the ones that are over the top, which we want to get those people help, or they don't want to get help.
And that there are different levels, but people do overuse the term of.
There's just like we talked about OCD, finding out there was only 2.7% of the world actually had OCD,
Mm-hmm.
but yet everybody says they're OCD. So like, till you're diagnosed, you might not really be a narcissist. You might just have traits,
I was gonna
different
say
levels.
they might have traits of
Yeah,
a narcissist, but they might not be a narcissist.
right.
And then, yep, yours or environment does impact you due to your neurons because you're
Yeah.
going to mimic what's going on around you.
So when you guys see me smile, hopefully I make you smile. Just don't yell when I yell. All right. It's not how that
Well, don't
works.
do that.
Sometimes I get angry.
No, do that.
Not allowed to do that. Just got to do it in the positive ways. Search your anger into something else.
All emotions are positive. I've learned there's no bad parts. You just got to figure out how to turn them into a positive.
I can yell if I want to copy you. To copy you. Got it. Yeah. So,
Makes me think of ice cream. We all scream for ice cream.
yeah. Ice cream. We scream. We all scream for ice cream. When the did we get ice cream?
We are definitely getting way off track though, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. It's all right. Guys, appreciate you guys for being here. Uh, it's 2025. We're gonna try some bigger and better things this year. Continue going in a positive manner, doing more and more every year that we can. But again, we can't do it without you guys. So there's going to be a little more effort from our end and pushing forward for raising more money to help more people and bringing more awareness to more people this year. And again, we can't do it without you guys. So we appreciate you guys day in and day out when we do these, when we promote, and you guys help push it forward with us. It means, I know, a lot to myself, and I'm sure it means a lot to not only Mrs. Wi-Fi, but in Tyler's memory, and everybody else that comes through here and might need each other. So appreciate it. I can't say that enough. Um, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We'll be back. Topics to be discussed. If you guys want to hear of anything, please let us know. DMs are open. If you guys need anything that we can help with, please let us know. We'll do our best to get everything we can to help you. Even if it's an ear, we're here. Remember, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not do nothing about it. All right. On behalf of Fly High Wi Fi, myself, Mrs. Wi Fi, thank you again, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Mm.